Today we are enriching our collection of edges and we are learning the Italian style edge. I've been admiring creative works by Maria Parfenyuk for a long time already. Her nickname on Strana Masterov is Maria Kaliningrad. As long as in 2013 I saved her wonderful photo tutorial as a tab. Only now I've finally taken my time to get round to it. Thanks a lot to Maria, her photo tutorial is detailed and clear, it was no problem to follow it. I promised to share the link to her profile, one can learn a lot from her beside this edge. As for us, we are enriching our collection of video tutorials on edge making. At first, this type of edge seemed too complicated to me. Well, actually it is not simple at all, but I believe it is worth learning and training it. I personally failed for the first time. I know there are talented weavers who can cope with the work from the first time, but this very edge takes you time to master your own vision and your own skills of performing. Anyway, I believe this type of edge is worth making. I'm going to teach you on the example of a panel picture, but this type of edge looks very nice on any kind of articles. It is the way a basket decorated with this kind of an edge looks. So after I tried making it from the second or third time I succeeded, I cannot help applying it to all kind of articles. Just take a look. I like it a lot and I recommend it to you. Well, there are some flaws I cannot avoid. Maria has found a way to hide these trunks. So you can watch both the way the author copes with them and the way I do. So we are going to weave a panel picture. At first I will show you a single colored edge, after which we can fancy a little and play with colors in the same Italian edge. So first of all I've prepared a typical semi-finished article. The tubes have faded a little and lost some color, but I believe for a tutorial it is okay. So I've decided to show you a classical variety of Italian edge making on the example of this panel picture. The key moments Maria has pointed out, and I'd like to draw your attention to, are as follows. This type of edge is convenient to perform on articles when the intervals between the poles get bigger. A panel picture is perfect in this respect. I had 24 tube ends sticking out of my panel picture, and by the time I woven it 4 centimeters, about 2 inches wide, the intervals between the tubes are big enough, which is convenient for our edge. Unlike the article itself, the article woven this way seems loose, but in our case it is what we actually need. We can insert the tubes deep into a loose network. If you perform this type of edge on articles different from a panel picture, you can drop some glue into a hole. Here you can do without any glue. The net is loose and the tubes go inside deep enough. So we add 4 extra tubes to 3 successive poles. They are easy to insert without any knitting needle. So 4 additional tubes to each pole. The longer the tubes are, the less lengthening you'll have to make. So the additional tubes for edge making have been inserted. The next very important point is moistening. Actually, I do keep the tubes moistened beforehand, but for edge making I moisturize them additionally. Now you take the bunch you have inserted, 4 additional tubes. The pole is left unengaged. And with such a movement away from yourself, you start twisting and grab the pole from the following bunch. And twist this pole into this very bunch. Because both the basic poles and additional tubes are moist, the strand is dense and neat. So we lead this strand in front of two following bunches and behind the third one. And fix it with the help of a clothing clip to hold it tight. Moisten the next bunch of tubes. 4 additionally inserted tubes. And engage the following pole. A clothespin interferes, so I take it off. Sorry for a vague purple color of my tubes. The article got into a puddle accidentally because it is raining here. So please don't pay attention to the color here, let's focus on the edge. So, we have laid the strand in front of 2 bunches behind the third one. Fix and continue. Moisten once again and repeat the twisting movement. Look, 3 coils have been shaped already. Now look. The short pole has become such a tail. We don't need it anymore. We are going to work with additionally inserted tubes. We will cut the tail later. Engage the following pole into our work. Here is the pole we have laid the previous strand behind. So we are leading our strand in front of 2 bunches of tubes behind a third one. Fix with the help of a clothespin. Get the tail left from the previous pole out of our work. Twist. Engage the following pole. Take a clothespin away. In front of 2, behind the third one, and fix. It is the way we work. Here we face an interesting moment. For the first 2 times I disliked making this type of edge because I had to lengthen the tubes. We deformed the tubes rather strongly in the process of edge making, so it's hard to lengthen them a traditional way. Of course you can cut all these excessive sticking tails later, but I don't like it like this, so I've started thinking of other possible methods of lengthening. So I recommend you the following way. Actually, you can try both and choose the one you like more. Look, I see that my tubes are long enough for 1 more coil, but after that I would have to lengthen 4 tubes at once. But I prefer to divide them into 2 groups. I take these ones out of my work and insert 2 more additional long tubes into this hole the tubes stick from. As you must understand, these sticking ends will get cut afterwards, and I continue working with them as if I had these tubes involved in work before. I twist them, engage the following pole. Moistening helps a lot in this case. Fix with the closest clip as usual. Repeat all the same actions here. 2 more tubes. They are easy to insert. Where is the next ball? Here it is. We're going to involve it into work as well. Twist, add. Got it. And the same with the third strand. The most convenient way to make this edge is on long tubes. So if your tubes are longer, you don't get a hedgehog like this. You see, we didn't do any lengthening here, but here we do. Choose the longest one. 4 additional tubes are engaged in our work. The next pole is here. We've got prepared and start twisting. I will show you a little more how to lengthen. Look, we have lengthened 2 tubes last time, now we have to add 2 tubes more. 1, 2. That's all. We left the short tubes uninvolved and work with the long ones. Don't get upset if you fail for the first time. The edge is rather peculiar. It looks very nice but requires some special skills. For the first time it can twist in the wrong way, or you can get some excessive tail sticking until you get used to it. Anyway, it is possible to master it, and I am personally very satisfied with the result. And so on. Continue this way, lengthen the tubes where necessary. Afterwards, while priming, we will cover these ends with glue and cut them. As well, you can paint the picture and mask the sticking ends this way, so when the picture hangs, they will not be seen. If you lengthen the tubes the way I do, you spend more tubes, of course, but on the other hand, you save your nerves. Because if you lengthen the tubes in a traditional way and they slide out as soon as you start twisting, it is rather annoying. So this way up to the end. We reach the end of the row. There are 3 strands here. We lay the first strand in front of the first twisted one. Lead the second strand through the first loop and the third one through the second loop. So, we have laid the first strand. Now lay the second one. Twist it and we have to lead it through the loop. I've decided to avoid lengthening here in the very end. We've done it. Lay the last strand but one. Check if the length is sufficient. No, it isn't. I have to lengthen. Let's do it like this. Cut the longest tubes from the ones left in order to save intact tubes. These ones are subject to cutting anyway. Add 2 more tubes to our last strand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Engage the first pole, the one we have left unengaged from the beginning. twist and lead through the second loop. This point requires some effort, but actually it's not too difficult. You can lead the tubes through even with no knitting needle. Well, here I was a bit greedy, but it's not a big problem. I can hide the end. That's all. So far it doesn't look nice until you cut the stubs. But this problem is not hard to deal with. So far we primed the article with cool glue mixed with water. There is one more very important point. You prime the article and cut the ends until they get dry. I have left one of my articles to dry, and it is much more difficult to hide the stumps when it's dry. That's why we prime the article and leave it for about an hour or so. It depends on degree of moisture. And cut the stubs until they get dry. You cut from this side at first, and now will be enough for glue to stick the tube, so you can cut the stubs at the base, at the very base. You hide the stumps and press the edge with your fingers this way to flatten it. This way you mask all the sticking ends. As a result, the remainders of tubes are almost invisible. And repeat all the same actions for the opposite side. I will have to patinate my article because the chemicals have played an favorable role with the color of the frame. After getting into a puddle it got some vague purple color, so I'll have to process it. I plan to save the situation by patinating it. So it was a traditional variety of the Italian edge. Now let's have some talking about colors.